Hi there. So, after weeks of watching video reviews on YouTube and doing lots of research, looking for a smartphone gimbal, I have finally taken the plunge and chosen the one I wanted. And the one I chose was a Moza Mini S. And I'm happy to say it's finally arrived. So, here we go. I'm going to open it today and then hopefully we'll be able to take it out into the field. Here it is. This is the one I went for. Now, I bought this. I paid in full for this. Okay, so what I tell you in this video and what I show you is going to be entirely my own opinion. Okay, so it's fully bought and paid for. No freebies whatsoever. Okay. But I chose this one out of all the different makes I looked at, and I'll unbox it and I'll show you the reasons why I chose this. Always fun unboxing these things. There we go. Okay, so here we have okay, and here it is. So first of all, this is one of the reasons why I chose this one, because it's foldable. Now, photography for me is still my priority, and I don't have a massive amount of room in my camera bag. So I don't want a huge gimbal taking up lots of space. So this is one of the reasons why I chose this one, because it's completely foldable. Now, there we go. Let's see if I can, first of all, unlock it. Obviously it's got a little catch down here. Obviously I'm going to need to, first of all, there we go. So we turn this and we turn it this way and open it up, and there's your gimbal fully extended. Okay, now another reason why I chose this particular, I can't show you because I'm filming this on my phone right now, but if you can see here very closely where the phone slides in, this section is set back, so that means that there is space to plug in not only a charging cable but also to connect a microphone, because I actually have a microphone that clips onto the side of my phone. So most of the other gimbals I looked at, this section of the gimbal would actually obstruct the end of the phone. Although it had the capability to plug in a charger and charge it from your gimbal, it wasn't actually possible because this was in the way. And also it would create a problem when plugging in the microphone. So the Moza Mini Me has wireless charging, which is a bit more expensive, of course. But when I looked and compared the two, really I didn't see, the only advantage to the Moza Mini Me was that it had the wireless charging. Okay, but this design actually negates the need for a wireless charger. It means I can plug in my cable to charge it. But this version is foldable, whereas the Moza Mini Me is not foldable. So this is it, the Moza Mini S. I've got it, okay, and I'm going to try it out. So hopefully over the next few days I'm going to show you some footage from this and show you some of the features and give you my honest feedback on it. So stay tuned. Well, I'm very sad to have to say that after 3 weeks of using the Moza Mini S, I had to return it because it developed the following fault. Now, it was working perfectly up until this time, and then all of a sudden when I switched it on, this light was just simply flashing and the gimbal was completely unresponsive. On some occasions I switched it on, I managed to get it working, and then the next time it wouldn't work. I talked with the technical support, which I will say were extremely helpful, extremely responsive. They sent me an app to try and update the Bluetooth, which I did, but unfortunately it still didn't work, so I had to send it back to Amazon. Of course, I ordered a new one, and when the new one came, you wouldn't believe it, but the new one was even worse. The new one just started doing this. It was completely erratic, and I could, well, when I did the calibration, it seemed to stop, and then it worked for a while, but then I put it away and come back to it a bit later, and it was back to being erratic again. So of course I then had to send this one back. So I was extremely unlucky, and after 2 times being burned, I just decided that I'm not going to take the chance on a third one, and I'm going to buy a different one, which I'll get into later in another video. But I want to talk about this for now, and I do want to say that despite these 2 problems, I found this to be an excellent gimbal, and I'm kind of sad that I had to return it twice and get another one. Now, I don't want to say that this gimbal is bad, because it's not, because in the 3 weeks I had this gimbal, it worked like a dream. And as someone who has a background in electronics manufacturing, service and repair, I can tell you that you know, when you mass produce a product, no matter how well it's designed and how good it is, there's always the risk that usually a very few, go out onto the marketplace and they're not quite right. Something's gone wrong in the manufacturing, or there's a component in there that's a little bit faulty and usually comes out a bit later. So I definitely do not blame this on Moza. I think the product is excellent. I think it's well built. I think their technical support is superb, because they were extremely responsive and extremely helpful and extremely polite. So I will not fault them one bit. And I certainly don't want to tell any of you not to buy this, because I recommend that you do buy it. It's an excellent gimbal and an excellent product. I just think I was obviously extremely unlucky, and after 2 times, especially because if you're ordering it from Amazon and having it shipped from a distance, each time it's quite a pain having to send it back. If I was buying this from a nearby shop, I would have probably gone and replaced it a 3rd time, because it would have been just very easy to replace it. So that's the reason I didn't, and I'm actually quite sad, because not only is it an excellent gimbal, it's extremely portable, and I just loved the way that it folded up nice and neat and small, put it into that little bag, and it fitted perfectly into a little pocket in my camera backpack. Now, for someone who is primarily a photographer, and I'm really only using the gimbal and the smartphone to do my vlogs and certain like travel videos for YouTube, I certainly don't want a massive gimbal and lots of equipment. I don't want to have to carry that around with me at the expense of my photography equipment. My photography equipment comes first. So I loved the fact that you could fold this up nice and neat and slot it into a small pocket on my camera backpack and still leave plenty of space for all my other equipment. So that's a definite plus. The gimbal itself, worked beautifully. Now I'm going to show you some footage that I shot first without the gimbal using just a Manfrotto tripod, and you can see how shaky it was. And now I'm going to show you the footage shot with the Moza Mini S in the same area. I took 2 hikes up to this place, one before I got the gimbal and one after I got the gimbal. I'll also put a link to the 2 videos so you can see the difference in the 2 videos made without the gimbal and with the gimbal. So in terms of stabilization, it was superb. It worked really, really well. And I also, as I said, loved the fact that the edge of the gimbal was set back a bit, so you could slot it in there, and there was space to plug in a microphone and also space to plug in the charger, the charging cable if you want to. So that was a definite plus. And as I said, when the gimbal worked, it worked beautifully. I really, really liked it. Okay, one of the downsides was the Moza app. On Android, I don't know what it's like on iOS, Apple, but on the Android, the app itself was not very good. I use a program called Shotcut for my photo editing, and for some reason the videos that I shot using the Moza app didn't want to import. I had to convert them to MOV files before I could actually use them within this. Now I don't know if that is it was going to be the same if you're using Adobe Premiere or anything else, but I just know that with the Shotcut program, I got this problem. So in that case, I didn't actually use the Moza for filming. I used Filmic Pro instead. So that was a downside. Plus, I would say that the buttons on the front of the gimbal are quite difficult to use. They're a little bit plasticky and awkward, but ultimately I didn't really use the buttons that much, especially as I wasn't using the Moza app, so I didn't actually really use the buttons so much. They worked well. They were relatively easy to use, but they were just a little bit I would say you had to really make sure that you pressed them hard to get them working properly. I loved the trigger on the back. That was extremely useful, and that worked really well. The inception mode, okay, it worked well. It's nice if you like that kind of thing. It wasn't really for me, but it worked well, and it's definitely a feature that is unique, I think, to this Moza Mini S, and I think the Moza Mini Me has it too. So that's a definite plus. So I mean, you know, aside from those couple of little things, I would definitely highly recommend this gimbal. I think it's great. Just don't use the app, unless of course I hope that in future they will improve the app on Android, but otherwise I would use some other app for this. I hope to get another of these maybe sometime in the future, but for now I've gone and bought the Zhuan Smooth 4, and I'm going to show you that in a future video. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful for you, and as I say, I think I was just extremely unlucky, because overall this gimbal I think is excellent and I highly recommend it. Okay, if you have this already, and please let me know in the comments what you think of it, and whether you've had any similar problems to what I did, or whether your gimbal has worked smoothly. Okay, thanks for watching, and catch you later.